Good morning, guys. Back to working on our 4440 here today. We're going to get a few filters around and change those first thing here this morning. And let's see what else we got to do to it, I guess. So, I don't know, shouldn't be too much here today. All right, so I'm reading through the book here, trying to decipher when the last time some of these service interval things were done and what the intervals are on different things. And this book is not organized exactly the same as what I'm used to in our other books, so it's a little bit more difficult to figure out, but they start with a 10-hour services, and I guess we're just going to start there and work our way through, and we'll figure it out as we go here. So it looks like 10-hour services is just your basic check engine oil levels and coolant level and grease some of the stuff on the front end. So we're going to go ahead and do that stuff, and then we'll check on the 100-hour interval stuff. All right, so there's quite a few grease zerks on the front of this, actually. There's one here on the pivot. There's a couple on these tie rods on the ends, and then two on the, we'll call it a knee, I think that's what that's called, to pivot or to grease in there. And then obviously one on the front side here. We need to check engine oil, which looks good, as it should, because it was just changed. There's like 2 hours on the engine oil, so we're good there. We need to check the coolant level, which I'm pretty sure you just take the cap off the top, because there's not really a coolant reservoir on this tractor. And I don't see any. So we're going to top that off. All right, so the 10-hour stuff is done. The 100-hour was basically checking tires and changing the engine oil, which we're just had the engine oil done, and we're putting new front tires on, so don't have to worry about that. So we move on to the 200-hour stuff. Transmission, hydraulic oil filter. So we're going to do that because I think it was about 250 hours ago that it was done. Check the transmission hydraulic oil level. It's not a high crop. Wipe the batteries down. Replace engine oil filter. Apparently this is every other oil change they want you to do the engine oil filter, but that was also just done. Check for loose bolts, grease the 3-point hitch, and then air filters and that stuff. So we'll get to those. Look at this. This is what you call new old stock. So I remember how I write what this stuff is, what these filters and everything is for, when I buy the filters and put them upstairs. Well, this one was originally for the 4955. We traded that tractor in 2013, so this filter is older than that. Same part number is on the 4440, so that's why we're using it up here. But yeah, we've had that one sitting for a while. Hydraulic oil filter, I don't know, I think I said fuel, but anyway, that goes inside this cover right here, so we're going to take that apart and change it and try not to spill any oil. Filter is out. We're going to take it in here and let it drain for a little bit, clean up the housing, get the new one put back in. Alright, I got the hydraulic oil filter back in there. I also checked the hydraulic oil level, which is this dipstick right here. It was a little low, so I put about 2 gallons of hydraulic oil in. Next thing we've got to do is pull the air filters, which are in this cover up under here. Yeah, so we'll get them out. I assume there's a date written on them. I have no idea when the last time these were changed was, but we're probably going to need to change them. So, yeah, they don't make these old tractors quite as serviceable as the new ones. This filter's not in a real convenient spot, but we'll get it. 7.2 of 16. Yeah, time to change it. Well, for as old as it is, it's remarkably clean. But I'm going to go ahead and put the new one on because I have 2 of them. And if we change them once every 4 years, well, I guess it's not that big of an expense, is it? So we'll just put the new one in, and then I know we'll be good. Also, part of the reason for changing it, even though it doesn't look that bad, is I have no idea how many times that filter's been cleaned. You know, we can blow them out with an air gun and get a lot of the dirt out and stuff, but you also run the risk of damaging it, breaking some of the paper filter element and stuff on there. So it's probably been blown out recently and probably several times in the last 4 years. So just to be on the safe side, we're just going to put a new one in. So this does also have an inner air filter. It's a little bit different style than the outer one, you know, with the pleated paper. It's kind of a fiber mesh type thing. But this is the old one, this is the new one. And can you guys see the color difference? I know it probably doesn't show up real well, but there's definitely dirt on this inner filter, which gives me a lot more reason to change that one, because if that inner filter is dirty, it means it's going through the outer air filter. So I'm glad I saw that. I'm glad we're changing this. Okay, I got that air filter put back in there and together. I also pulled the cab air filters out. They're in the roof ceiling of the cab here. Yeah, so I got those out. I actually washed up the housings. I'm waiting for them to dry. They were relatively dirty. So we're gonna get those put back in. What else did I do? Something. I don't remember. Oh, I greased some of the stuff on the back of the tractor here. The axles, there's a grease zerk in there, and a couple on the load sense rods down below the tractor. So I kind of was flipping through the rest of the interval service stuff on the tractor, and we've pretty well got what the main interval stuff was. I do want to change the fuel filter yet. That was kind of an as required thing, and there's no date on it, so we're going to change it. I changed this coolant filter here and the fuel filter on the other side. That coolant filter made a bigger mess than I was anticipating, but what are you going to do? I think that's about it for service work on here. Oh, I want to turn on all the lights and make sure they all work. Check the flashers and the working lights and stuff just to make sure that those all come on. Well, the front ones work. And the back ones work. That's good. And all of our work lights work. Man, we're doing good here. We did add, Dad did at some point in the past, a couple of lights on the front here. They're on a separate switch. I want to check those too. Look at that. Awesome. So all the lights are good, which means when I'm pulling the traveling gun out at 3 o'clock in the morning this summer, we'll be able to see something. Good deal. All right, guys. We are going to come back and finish this after lunch. We've just got to sweep out the cab and clean stuff up in there, basically. So getting close to having done what we need to do. I told you it wouldn't take very long. We're not going to wax it and make it look all pretty because, well, it's a 40-year-old tractor that's in pretty rough shape as it is. So, yeah, we'll wash the windows and clean the interior up so it's at least decent to use. So I'm going to go eat lunch, and I'm actually going to go and see a couple of seed customers while I'm at it, I think. So it'll be mid to late afternoon before I get back here, and we'll get that tractor cleaned up. All right, I am back to the farm here. Let's get this cab cleaned up. I got the shop vac set up here, so I'm going to go in there and do that, and then we'll get our Armor All, Windex, wash windows, wipe down stuff. All right, well, I decided to actually pull the floor mat out of this tractor, and there was more dirt under it than there was on it, so that was a good decision. But there's a little oil on part of this. We must have had an oil leak under the dash. I'm pretty sure that's been fixed, but this will let me clean it up. I'm actually going to drag it over there and use the power washer. So we'll get that floor mat nice and clean, and there's a little bit of oil kind of on the sides of some of this stuff here. I'm going to get a rag and clean that up too. All right, time to start doing the dash, just cleaning stuff up. So get your good before look, and hopefully you'll see something really dramatic for an after right now. Well, I think it's better. Some of this dirt's pretty hard to get out of these little holes in this upholstery, but yeah, she cleaned up all right, so we'll call it good. I get the floor mat back in here. I did get the windows washed. They look pretty good. All right, the cab is done. So, last thing that I want to do to this tractor before we call it ready to go for the year is put these weights back on. I told you the other day that I had some weights that were on there and they fell off. Well, that's true. They did fall off. It was when I was irrigating 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, I guess. In the summer, I hit a gully and the weights just bounced off. They don't lock on that weight bracket like the ones on the newer tractors do. These are a different style. And so I got them picked up. They're in the barn in the back. We just got to go get them and see if we can hang them back on there. And I'm going to attempt to do it without taking them apart, which means forklift. I found my weights, but that's got a 0% chance of making it up to the shop like that. And they're awfully heavy. I don't know how I'm going to get them there. All right, I managed to get it turned so they're on both forks. So we're going to try it and see if I can carry them up to the shop without dropping them. Challenge number 1, the door threshold. Oh, well, that went well. All right. I think they're slipping off to the side. Made it. Okay, well, my challenge is going to be getting these weights lifted up on there because they got to get rotated 90 degrees. There's 8 of them there, which means that weighs a little over 800 pounds. So clearly I'm not going to lift it up and put it on there, but I might be able to use our overhead hoist. So I need to back the tractor up. Well, there's where we ran into a problem. So remember I changed that fuel filter? Yeah, well, this tractor doesn't have a fancy electronic primer like the other ones that I've done, and so you got to prime it manually, which I attempted to do with this little doohickey, and look what happens. Clearly, we've got an O-ring or something that's out in this primer that's leaking like crazy, and I'm not going to be able to pump fuel into the fuel filter to get it to the engine to fire. So we've got to fix this, and in order to fix that, I think we've got to take this apart. I'm guessing this bottom piece threads out. But I'm afraid if I do that, it's going to drain the fuel tank. So we got to see if there is a shutoff valve under there somewhere. Somehow, hopefully, something. Yeah. Well, that's what we're looking for right now. Found it. So we'll turn that in and shut the fuel off. And then we should be able to take that primer apart. See if we can't find an O-ring somewhere. Well, I got this apart, and there does not appear to be any way to get this apart. There's a line on the top here, but there's no way to pry it apart, pull it apart. I'm just going to wreck it if I try. So I looked, and they have 7 of them at the John Deere dealer. I'm going to see if I can't call up there and get them to send it home with one of their employees that lives just a few miles from here. And then we can pick it up tonight. But in the meantime, we are dead in the water. There is not much that I can do until I put that back together and roll the tractor backwards to try and get these weights on. Actually, judging by where that hoist is at, yeah, I might be able to get them on there. I guess we can still work on that while we're waiting. I don't really need to roll the tractor backwards, but it would be nice, but that's not going to happen. So we'll see if we can't put a strap through them handles and see if we can't lift them up and put them on there. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm going to get that part ordered so maybe I can get it yet tonight. Okay, well, this strap says 6,400 pound working load limit, so that ought to do it, right? Well, we're going to find out. And this should be good enough that I actually set the camera up so you can watch. I'm going to move the forklift closer to where I need it to be. Good. Just don't get your toes on it. I'll even move you guys so you can still watch. There, wait. Well, that went pretty well, actually. You would think they would have a way to tie them on there other than gravity. But it basically hooks on that front lip. And unless something's broken or I'm missing something, that's all that holds them on there. All right, well, I guess now I gotta wait until I can go pick up them parts. I did get them ordered, and that guy's gonna bring them down to his house. So when he gets home, it's 4:30 now. So if he gets off at 5, and maybe in an hour we can go pick them up. I don't know. Well, looky there. We're getting a load of 28 in. Some of our fertilizer that we use mostly for wheat now. All right, well, my parts are sitting over at the neighbor's house here, so I'm gonna go pick them up, but it's now almost 6, quarter to 6, so I'm not coming back tonight because it's on my way home, so I'm just gonna stop there. So tomorrow morning's plan, we'll put that primer back on and hopefully get this tractor so it will start, and then we should be able to get it out of here and find something else to work on tomorrow. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but we'll figure something out. So have a great night, guys. Hit the like and subscribe buttons for me if you would, please. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Borderview Farms, and we'll see you tomorrow.